Welcome to another episode of Mysteries Unknown. In tonight's podcast, I've got Tony with me. And Tony is a truck driver and has been all over this country, but he had a really close encounter with Bigfoot one night in Georgia. This creature ran right up next to his truck. He could have hit it if he wanted to. And I'm going to let him jump into that in just a second. But I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for all the support, for listening to this podcast, because without you, it wouldn't be possible. Let's jump right into the story. Tony, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm glad you're here. I'm excited for our listeners to hear your encounter. I know you had several encounters with Bigfoot, but why don't you take us back to the beginning, the first one you were telling me when you were just a kid?
A long time ago, I was a little bitty kid. We'd ride bicycles all the way up the lane. We used to ride up there to the school bus and throw the bikes in the high weeds so nobody gets them. Then we'd ride the bikes all the way down the valley to our old home. We had, all kinds of farm animals and stuff like that, and had hunting dogs and what have you. My dad had everything, down there. We was listening to the radio one day and music, listening to music and everything, and then all of a sudden the music just shuts off, and a bulletin comes across, a special bulletin. There's a news guy, and it said that Bigfoot has been sighted in the area. It was usually about northwest area of Ohio, Bell Fountain. So Bigfoot's been sighted in the area, and it's been sighted by several people along this route. And it said is heading this certain direction. I told my dad, I said, "Where's this at?" He said it sounds like it's coming this direction. That night, we smelt this real bad stench come on, and the hunt dog was going crazy, like pulling at their collars and everything, and like choking to get off the chains. And so my dad, goes outside with a gun. We had shut off all the lights in the house. You hear this loud breathing right outside the old home. You can hear it right outside the walls. I was born in '74, and I was probably about 5 at the time. And my dad goes outside and comes back in. He don't see anything, and ends up we found out we lost, I think, one of the hunting dogs. And I think it was probably a Bigfoot. Since then, I lived down most of my life here in Georgia, northwest Georgia. I drive tri-state, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and out like 5 days a week. I usually drive the same routes, 5 nights a week. And my dad had come down. He said that he had seen a Bigfoot. He actually seen one. He said he was huge. He was tall. He was serious about how big it was. He said it was black, and it ran across the road. His buddy didn't see it, but he seen it. He was on the passenger side, and he told him to turn around, and he didn't go back. He was kind of cutting up about it, and then on the way back through, his buddy was asking, "Where'd you see that?" He said, "He's gone now." My dad's wanting to cut it off on the side road where he could see it again, And he told me about it, and I said, "Well, I drive semi. I cover a lot of areas, so I'm gonna start looking far out instead of just mostly straightforward. It's like swinging my head back and forth as much as possible, seeing as much possible as far out as possible." And I thought I might have seen a head or shoulders or whatever is hiding in a bush here or there. Could be one. They're either black or reddish brown. So I'd honk my semi horn at him, right? And then I'd drive that same route every day at the same time. And I did that probably less than a month. And one time, as 2013 October, I was coming back from South Carolina where I picked up a load, a 53-foot drive van loaded, and that semi I-85 going southeast, the hills like this right here. So time to get to the top, you're going a little bit slower, and I was still probably running 35, 40, I'm guessing. And so the rain was heading west. I just come out of the rain. I got in front of it. So it was coming behind me. I was washing my windshield wipers, windows off, had my windshield wipers going. And then I seen something come out of my peripheral vision over there. And all it was like most of all down through there was like a grass knoll all the way down through there. And when I looked over, it was a Bigfoot, right? Reddish brown color. I knew exactly what it was as soon as I seen it, or the name Bigfoot. So I looked over, boom, right there. And this is the first one I ever seen, right? And then it come down the bank, and it cut right there, and it was running along my right front bumper of the semi. So it's all reddish brown color, had long hair on the back of the head and neck, and long hair like orangutan type. Got a little bit of wave underneath the arms. It's kind of long underneath the arms, and long on his feet and ankles. And the rest of it's all short hair, and it's brown color like a dead pine needle color. So I looked over, and there it was. I knew a lady was behind me as I was watching all the way around. The semi. If she was in a car, I could get away with hitting my brake just a little bit. So I tapped on my brakes just once, and it got out in front of me. I looked down at his feet, and it's just covered with hair. You couldn't see no toes, no ankle, nothing. It's just had so much hair along his ankle and his feet, you just couldn't see no feet, no form or anything, right? No toes or anything. And then it was running so fast, the hair in the neck and the head was about 18 inches long. It was running so fast, it's like somebody on a motorcycle, like riding along on a motorcycle. It's straight back, peeled back. And it was running so smooth that the hair wasn't going like that, as it was running. It was running so smooth, it was peeled straight back. That's how fast it was running. My semi was going down the hill a little bit, so it kind of picked up a little bit of speed, and it come right there at the right front bumper. And then I thought, it's just the safety part about it. I thought if I come real to the right, I just run over it, right? And then it just cut right when I thought that, and went right up the embankment and right outside, and right out of my peripheral vision. And then so the road right there, the stretch of the interstate, was like a half a lane on the emergency lane, and then it just dropped off. So there's nowhere semi could have pulled off on that shoulder without tipping over, and couldn't get out of the get off the asphalt because you'd still be in the lane right there. And then I was wanting to pull over, but I couldn't pull over. I was thinking, I went and got my gun carrying permit and got me a Glock 35, and then I stopped over in that area. And then I seen three over here in Calhoun, Georgia. I was over here right behind the airport. I was hiking by myself alongside this creek, and then back in the wooded area in between the railroad track and the creek, and walked through the woods there, and I got this sense. I don't know. It's a sixth sense. It's like, I don't know if I'm being preyed on or what, but it's just like this real eerie feeling, right? So then this deer runs right by me. I just about reach out and touch the deer, right? Big deer. And then so I cut back and cut along to the left, and I keep on walking, and I come up on three reddish brown Bigfoot. Right? They were standing in a triangle formation, looking at each other. Facing each other, and they all had their heads down. I don't know if they were sleeping like a horse does, or they was like in some kind of trance. I don't know what. First thing I thought was they was all sleeping, close to each other like that, standing up. And then, wasn't too much longer, all their heads come up and they noticed me. And I specifically know the one that was looking towards me, the closest. It's probably about 50 feet from me. And his mouth opened up about that wide. He fit a cantaloupe in his mouth. That's how wide. His jaw dropped, or hers, or whatever. My jaw dropped. And then, I was wanting to see one far away, not three close up. Especially as tall as it was. I'm back here by myself. And I really don't think about my pistol right off the bat, stuff like that. There's a large tree right here, and then the creek runs along right behind them. and they're standing down there, down the embankment, sort of like on a sandbar, sort of down to there. So I walk around this large tree, right, and I was going to be right there in front of them. I wasn't going to be, like 5 feet up on the hill and away from them. I was going to be right down there on the same level, and there wasn't going to be nothing in between us. And I walked around that tree, took about 3 or 4 more steps. Poof, they were gone. There's nowhere they could have went in that short amount of time. There's nowhere. Foliage across the creek was so far. There's just nowhere they could have went in about 3, 4 seconds, 3, 4, 5 seconds. They just like vanished.
I had a guest on not that long ago, and in our interview, he was telling me that when he was a kid, he came up on a group of them, and they were doing the exact same thing. He said there was like a creek and then a fence, and they come up on this creek, and they were on the other side of the fence line, and there was about 3 or 4 of them huddled together, and they were standing with their necks down like that, standing up, and he thought they were sleeping. He didn't know what they were or what they were doing, but that's a really scary encounter, man. I really think that the more I do this and talk to people, these things have to be more than flesh and blood, because there's nowhere they could have gone. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've experienced the paranormal. I used to live in an apartment complex that was haunted, like poltergeist. I'm talking about like the ceiling disappearing, and it'd be like a smoke tornado, or slamming on your stove. You're the only one there. You go in, and the portable hand timer be set. Or like you come over next to a couch and you feel a hand come across your foot like that right there. I mean, I know paranormal stuff. Some things you can't see with your eyes. But I had an old flip phone. I used to take a picture because I started to sell a dresser on Craigslist, and I seen this blue ghost like entity come down the side and up underneath the dresser. It was all blue up blue. So I said, well, I didn't see that in my eyes. I said, I'm going to have to take pictures of it. And then when you take a picture, you can zoom in. And I seen this one guy with his shirt off right there in between my couch and my chair, had one hand down on the ground and is looking straight up at me. And in the same picture, this lady's face in my window, about that big around with a big smile on her face. And then at the same, when I was going out there clicking, in the hallway, there's a lady's face, regular size face, and she had like extreme amount of makeup on, like not done right. Like I don't know if it's like real old, where they used to cut their hair and wear the wigs, like that kind of putting their makeup on. But I mean, I know that some like a Crybaby Bridge in Ohio. My dad took me to Crybaby Bridge in Ohio, and a baby cried. We're out here, and the nearest farm is miles away. You can see it, the lights, but there's nothing out there, and it's just a bridge, and the baby starts crying, right?
That's wild, man. This really kind of goes back to this theory I've got, because you hear about people that see a Bigfoot, and generally if you see one, you're going to see him again at some point in time in your life. Most people that I've talked to have encountered these things multiple times, and I think they're evil. I don't think they're good. With all this stuff that you saw, it seems like you're kind of drawn to that stuff, and so it kind of makes sense to why you maybe see these creatures more than other people. And I'm glad you made it out of that house, man, because that's a pretty scary thing. But with all that being said, Tony, how did those encounters change your life with Bigfoot?
I wish I had a dash cam, because I would have gave both my legs for that cam footage. I mean, it was so majestic. It was just like unreal that I had seen something so majestic and beautiful. It was like, I'm a person of the woods and nature and stuff like that. My dad hunted, fish, trap all his life. I used to go with him a lot, and it was just something that was so extreme, but yet so few people have seen. A lot of people ain't seen them. A lot of people hunt all their life for them. I never seen one yet.
Tony, I know that you driving a truck, you're on the road a lot, and you cover a lot of miles, and you see a lot of stuff. But with all the encounters that you've had, I would love to know, I've got my own beliefs on what Bigfoot is. I think it's, Nephilim, fallen angel, kind of lean towards that way with things. But I would love to know what your opinion is on Bigfoot and what do you think it is?
Shoot, I don't know, man. I've heard, some things, like for the Bible, for instance, you heard of the Watchers. I'm not sure if a lot of them stories have been switched, and I know a lot of stories been books been taken out of the Bible. When they're watching you and they're standing still, they got kind of a possessed look, right? I don't know if it's just them thinking.
I don't know, man. It's definitely a mystery, and I don't think anybody really knows what these things are, and it's intriguing, man. And I don't know if we'll ever know, but regardless, man, I'm glad you're still here to share that, with our audience. But make sure you're careful out there on the road, man. I know you travel a lot, but be careful interacting with these things, man. I believe in the power of prayer, and I definitely stay prayed up with these creatures, man, because you just don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just don't know what they are,
Well, man, there's a lot of things in God's universe that we just don't understand, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to share that with my audience. I know they really enjoyed that encounter. Man, be careful out there on the road. If you see anything in the future, I would love to hear about it, and thanks for what you do for our country, man. Truck drivers are vital, and they're super important to everything in this country, so I appreciate you, man. And guys, if you've got a story or something you would like to send me, you can send it to me by email at video@jazzcreativear.com. Like I always say, stay prayed up. We'll talk soon.